on page 2-1 of our notes, so that's Unit 2, page 1, we are going to solve multi-step equations. So in Unit 1, we solved one-step and two-step equations, so now these will take a little bit more. So there's 3 different things we have to look for. The first thing is we need to distribute if necessary. So there might not be any parentheses that you need to distribute. So distribute if needed. So number 1, there are no parentheses, so you don't have to distribute. Once you distribute, or if you don't have to distribute, so there's no more parentheses, you need to combine your like terms. So what gets a little bit confusing is since we've been solving equations, we know to do the inverse operation. So when you combine, you just do exactly what it says. So if there's a plus sign, you add. If there's a subtraction sign, you subtract. Once you get it with your like terms being combined, you should be down to a two-step equation. So you should have a variable and a plain term on one side and then just a number. So a variable term plus or minus a constant, and then equal to another number. So then step 3 is to just solve like we did from Unit 1. So if we go ahead and look at number 1, we don't have to distribute because there's no parentheses. So we're going to have 9x minus 7x. Those are our first set of like terms. So that gives us 2x. Those are done. 1 minus 5 is negative 4. So we write a minus sign, not plus negative, just a minus sign. So 2x minus 4 equals negative 20. I'm going to rewrite that over here. I forgot to leave myself enough room to solve it. So once you get through step 1, which we didn't need to do in step 2, you're down to what we did in Unit 1. So now I would add 4 to both sides. 2x equals negative 16. This says multiply, so to undo that we divide. X equals negative 8. When you check your answer, you need to plug it back into the very original thing. Even though it has lots of steps in it, you need to plug it back into the original. So that would look like 9 times negative 8 plus 1 minus 7 times negative 8 minus 5. And we do get our negative 20. So when you check your answer, which you should always do, you need to plug it back into the very original one. Number 2, we're going to start with the distributing the negative 7. I'm actually going to flip it at the same time. So I'm going to write this as negative 21a, negative 7, and negative 1 is plus 7. So you have to be really careful of those negatives. Equals 91. Again, it's just something I always prefer to have my variable on the left-hand side. So I'm actually going to switch it right away. Now I can subtract 7. That makes the 7's go away. Negative 21a equals 84. Then I divide by negative 21, and I get a equals negative 4. So again, you want to plug that back into the very original. Negative 7 parenthesis 3 times negative 4 minus 1 parenthesis, and we do get our 91. Now I do want to show you when all you have is one thing that has the parentheses, so when we get down and do the rest of them, this will not work. All right, but if all you have is one number and one set of parentheses, you can actually divide first. This means negative 7 times this. So what you can actually do, I'm going to rewrite it only flipped around. This means negative 7 times this whole thing. So you can actually divide by negative 7 first. We don't teach that very often because a lot of times that doesn't equal an integer, so then you're having to deal with fractions. Also, like I said, it doesn't work for any of the rest of them. So like down here, you can't divide by 5 first. So that's why we don't usually teach it, but I did want to show it to you because it makes it just a little bit easier. So if we do 91 divided by negative 7, we get negative 13. So it's just smaller numbers to work with. So add 1, 3a equals negative 12, divide, and a still equals negative 4. So just another way that you can look at a problem that looks like that, but again, that's only if you have one number and one set of parentheses that it's being multiplied to. For 3, we have to go back and definitely distribute first. So that 4m comes straight down. We're distributing a negative 5. So negative 15m means I subtract 15m, and then that would be negative 50. So minus 50 equals 126. These two are my like terms. So 4 minus 15 gives me negative 11m. Minus 50 equals 126. So I need to then add 50 to both sides. Negative 11m, I'm going to write it over here. Negative 11m equals 176. Divide by negative 11. And m equals negative 16. So when you check your answer, 4 times negative 16 minus 5 parentheses, 3 times negative 16 plus 10 parentheses. A lot to type in, but again, it's very important to check your work so that way you know if you're right or not. When we do number 4, negative 3 times k is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 8 is plus 24. Okay, so negative here makes it positive. Here, this is like distributing a negative 1. So minus k, again, if you want to put the 1, and then minus 5 equals 23. Combining our like terms, negative 3 minus 1 gives us negative 4k. 24 minus 5 gives us positive 19. So plus 19 equals 23. So then I subtract 19 from both sides. Negative 4k equals 4. Hopefully you know then that k equals negative 1, but if you want to rewrite it and show your division, k equals negative 1. So if we type this one in, negative 3 parentheses, negative 1 minus 8 parenthesis, minus parenthesis, negative 1 plus 5 parenthesis, gives us 23. All right, again with number 5, I'm going to rewrite it. So I'm going to write 10x minus 12x. Again, this is a negative 6 that you're multiplying through. And then minus 30 equals 20. Now I do want to show you, a couple of you might feel comfortable doing 2 steps at once. And here's what I mean. This 30 is all by itself. So you can actually combine your like terms and move your 30 over all at the same time. So what that would look like is 10 minus 12 is negative 2x, and I also know I need to add 30 over here. So negative 2x equals 50. So you can do that all in one step instead of taking 2 steps. If you don't want to do that, that is totally fine. It would look like this. Oops, forgot my x there. So we still combine our like terms. Negative 2x minus 30 equals 20. then we would add 30. So again, whatever you are comfortable with. Either way, our last step is to divide by -2 and get x equals -25. So again, if I plug it in, 10 times -25 minus 6 parenthesis 2 times -25 plus 5 parenthesis does give me 20.